My bad. I was trying to do it.
What's up, my brother? How you doing, Justin?
Good.
Thanks for doing this, brother. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So how you been, man?
Good. Well, I just got done my arm store shit. I just got done pulling with Noel.
Okay.
He's, I guess, truck driving up this way, and he came up and he pulled with me and Paul today.
Oh, nice, dude. Yeah, I like Noel a lot. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. He's strong too. Fuck, he's a strong kid, man.
Yeah,
like,
he is.
For under like 200.
Yeah, I didn't really know who he was in the rankings or everything until I looked. I was like, oh shit, that explains why my arm hurts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you just finished up this weekend. You guys had a huge event. How you feeling after the event? You say you're sore, but mentally, how you feeling as far as your progression, this comeback that you're kind of doing?
I feel phenomenal. I feel going into that match, I probably felt better than I did in the last 5 months, because the day I stopped drinking, I kind of had this goal to get back into arm wrestling and do what I planned on doing. So for the last 5 months, we've been going super hard, like harder than I've ever arm wrestled in 5 years. Like I've been holding practices every Sunday, so everyone comes over, and we got a lot of good guys up here. So every Sunday I'll do that, and I was working on a lot of just my wrist and hand and everything. It's really a lot of it just the practice is what made me stronger, I feel like consistent practice.
Yeah.
And with Paul, I feel like my left hand's decent because with Paul and Storm and going down to Morocco's, like I kind of can, and Kenny Smith helped me the one day. And so they were gauging it, so they were telling me that I was strong. So I was like, yo, just tell me for real. If you think I'm shit right now, just tell me. I don't really care. So I was kind of gauging everything off of that going into the Tim Lewis match and then going into the Russ match.
So you felt pretty confident by the feedback you were getting from your training partners. They were seeing the progression and how you were feeling.
Yeah. And then a lot of times, like I mess with myself because I was like, all right, are they just telling me I feel strong or do I really feel strong? And I didn't really have anyone to gauge up here. There's like 2 guys that I could kind of gauge where I'm at from 5 months ago, but I trained with a couple guys that pulled Tim. The whole plan with Tim was to do a top roll, and I didn't do it at all. I kind of did exactly the opposite of what everyone told me to do.
It's hard sometimes, don't you find, like when you're in the middle of a match and it's like you're all hyped up and the match goes, it kind of sometimes things go out the window.
Yeah, they're literally completely out the window. Me and Paul trained for 4 months, had a top roll, and that was the game plan going into this. He had the most disgusted look on his face in the world when I was down 0-2.
I've been there, man. I've had that experience before. You know, I was really impressed with your endurance and your like fortitude to push through and not get discouraged in that Tim match, man. It was like,
to be honest with you, like I'm not the smartest guy ever. And so I lost the first one with fouls and I felt fine. I felt sticky where I felt good. The second one, I had him in that position where I had him in the third match and I was holding him. And I actually felt completely fine there. And then one of the guys was like, yo, just lay down. There's more. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. So then like I laid down. And then when I got back to like where everyone was talking to me, they were like, all right, you got to win 3. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even put that up. I didn't even like register that in my head when I was up there, that now I had to win 3 in a row. So then I like kind of turned up and I was like, all right, this shit's for real now.
Yeah, you beat Tim right in his power, like of all people. Like you didn't, I mean, I know your game plan was to top roll and kind of run away from the power and, you know, be smart, but you beat him where no one really beats him. Like you don't ever see when he gets sunk in that deep hook like that on his side of the table, you don't ever see like guys usually pulling back, you know?
Yeah, I felt good there because a lot of time in practice, I'm not the type of person that have pinned somebody 4,000 times to practice. I feel myself holding people there just to help them get stronger and not be like the practice champion, because like sometimes I could blow through people and I literally never, I feel like I never actually pin anyone unless I'm trying something. So a lot of times at a practice, I'll just hold everyone there until they're like, okay, we're done. but I think that is helping my sticky spot right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps with ever Paul and Storm. And we hope that Storm had bands and all kinds of shit hooked up to his roof, and we were practicing stuff there. But I feel good there. But yeah, looking back at that match, I'm a lot more confident in my hook in that sticky spot than I was before I went into that Tim match. Because Tim's he's not like a horrible arm wrestler. And he's got a good hook. So I was kind of scared to do it. And then everyone was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And then after I fell into it, I couldn't make it. If I ever pull him again, I'll go to the hook every time. Mm-hmm. And the match would have looked a lot easier, I feel like. It would have looked a lot better, and I would have won a lot easier because it wasn't the hook that I thought it was going to be.
So getting ready for him, you talk about training with Storm and Paul and those guys. Like, what's the game plan going in there? You train basically what your move is, and then you kind of just get stronger in that aspect of things. You said you were doing a lot of top roll training, so that's kind of like out of your comfort zone because you're more of a hook kind of guy.
Yeah, we did like a lot of posts, and I'm honestly still like I've been in arm wrestling for 5 years, but for the first 5 years, like at a practice, I didn't practice. So I went there to get hammered. And for all the tournaments, I never pulled one tournament sober ever in the 5 years I was here. So like it's like I didn't pay attention to anything Paul said, honestly. Like I wasted his brain for the last 5 years and going down the road. It was literally just a drinking party fest for me, like while everyone else was winning. And like I would just win like every once in a while. But like looking back in this training, like I would say camp maybe, like for the last 5 months, like even now they're like pronators, skid later, they say all kinds of words that I'm like, I have no clue what you're talking about. So like Storm's really smart and says some crazy shit that I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. And then they know I'm not the brightest tool in the shed. So now they explain it to me. Like once they grab my hand and show me, then it makes more sense. But as long as I've been in this, I am like very, very fresh to like the terminology and getting to where I want to be. Mm-hmm. Even like during the Rust match, like with the referee. And that's why I feel like I have a lot of room to get stronger and better and more technical, like using that little, just as stupid things that you can cheat a little bit. And like, I don't know any of that. Rust in his match said I was like pulling up and posting really hard. And it's one of those things where I had no idea I was doing it. Like, and I told him, I was like, I wasn't trying to cheat or like screw you at all. Cause I have no clue what I was doing. I was just like keeping my static pressure as hard as I could and not moving at all. So I haven't really learned like the little tricky shit yet. So I'm excited to like be full blown into it and see where it goes.
When you were doing tournaments and like drinking and going to practices, like, did anyone kind of talk to you, like any of those guys you train with kind of talk to you and say, hey man, you know, you have some, talent, you could really take this, but it looks like you're just partying?
Yeah. Paul, every day. Paul wanted to punch me like every tournament because he'd be like, what the? And he knew, like, I think eventually he just got numb to it. He was like, all right, Justin's just here for a good time and to make me laugh. So let's just figure it out.
So he just
accepted. But I've been telling that ever since I did MMA, and my coach said, that had nothing to do with really drinking. Why I quit, that had to do with like I had 5 kids at a super young age. So I kind of hung up that. It was either train MMA like 5 days a week or coach U5 soccer. So I picked the soccer thing.
How old were you when you had your first kid?
17. So she was I would have her in a car seat at the soccer games, in my high school soccer games.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. So that's a tremendous amount of pressure on someone at a young age.
Yeah. It was fun. I know. And now I have 2 sets of twin boys. And then my daughter. So we got 5 kids running now. They're crazy.
Wow, dude. So
that was my main thing is when I got sober that kind of started this whole journey.
So when did the drinking start for you?
Honestly, it didn't start like I got like a random party here and there, like in high school, like once a year. And then even when I turned 21, I didn't really drink. It kind of started probably when I was like 25. I think I was dealing with stress and started drinking and partying. And then it didn't really get bad until like probably 3 years ago. like I could party like and go to work and everything was fine. And then like 3 years ago, I hit this switch where like I just wanted to get banged up from morning till night. And I would go on these benders for like a month and just get hammered from 7 a.m. till and just work through it. And no one really knew. We did construction and kind of had our own thing going on, so no one was ever going to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I just went through these benders and just did my drink my stress away.
So
and kind of just made it worse.
Like what was going on like in your life that you wanted to run away from that? Like, was it just the stress of life, the kids, the whole like
that
relationships and stuff?
Yeah, what kickstarted that type of bender thing? Like before that, 4 years ago, I never really did that. I never woke up and needed to have a drink because I was shaking. Like never. Like I would get hammered, and the next day I would feel like shit, go to work and whatever. 4 years ago, when me and my ex-wife broke up, she started like keeping the kids away from me and wouldn't let her around me and like my girlfriend now. Mm-hmm. So like I would go like weeks without seeing them, and then I would start drinking super heavy to like numb it, which looking back, it just made it worse. Well, not really, because she was just keeping the kids away from me because she was pissed at me. And so that's what I did. I just numbed it with that.
What was life like for you growing up? Like, did you have your parents involved in your life and stuff? Did you have a good childhood?
Yep, my dad's been there for me since day one. My mom, she kind of left me whenever she was little, but I don't have any hard feelings for her. If I see her now, I'd say hi and everything. But my dad's raised me my whole life.
So your mom hasn't been in your life very much?
No, not really. When I was a teenager, I would go over there like every couple of weekends, but not like that.
Was she an addict also?
No, she had like six. I probably have six brothers and sisters on that side. So she was super busy. Yeah. I was a teenager. I was doing my own thing and didn't really make time to go over there unless she was like, "Hey, I got you a new bike," and I'd be like, "Ooh, okay, I'll come over." So it wasn't. I don't ever put it on her like whatsoever. That it was kind of me just distancing myself away from them, like my mom's side. Mm-hmm.
So that's basically kind of like a mechanism that you're just using to kind of like just, stay away from, not worry about that stuff, doing your own life, getting your own stuff involved.
Yeah, my dad's been with me. Me and my dad are super close. My dad was my best man. So my stepmom and my dad, they helped with like everything ever since they got together. So the drinking, it was never like family problems because I was a spoiled little brat. Like I got everything I wanted. So I can't really say that had nothing to do with it. I just started drinking and I loved being drunk. Mm-hmm. And like loud and fun. Like I'm loud and fun without it. And I'm starting to see that more. Like I don't have to be hammered like 12 shots of Rumplemans in to make everyone laugh.
Yeah. Probably gave you like confidence a little bit too, right? And, kind of, are you a quiet kind of guy at all? Or did you?
No.
Okay.
No. And that's what everyone was mind boggled. They're like, you don't need to drink to have fun and party. Like, I don't understand. It was just like, it just like sent me to another planet.
Yeah.
Like I just felt it's not like I felt invisible. I just felt like there was nothing going wrong with my life. It was like awesome. I turned my phone off for a couple of days and just drink, and no one would bother me. Me and my buddy would go fishing and shit. It was like a delusional ass world where I had no responsibilities, and I did whenever I woke up the next morning.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good perspective. So it's kind of unique. You have your kind of unique, an addiction where you kind of just, liked what you were doing, drinking and the whole partying and the, hanging out with your friends and stuff. But then you started to have drinks to wake up, had those DTs.
It was bad.
So those were from the benders that you were doing and you were getting just out of control. And then you just started like drinking full time, or?
I would wait. Yeah, full time. Literally. I would wake up before a real good bender. Like I would wake up at 7, go to Sheets, get a twisted tea and a couple of drinks and be ready for the day and just catch a nice buzz. Mm-hmm. And then like the more and more I drink, like I was ripping at the end of my last bender, I was drinking probably like 20 of those Rumpleman shooters a day. Like I would get a 10-pack in the morning and I would get a 10-pack at night. And that's not including other drinks in between there. Like I know a lot of people didn't, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you stopped drinking. That's awesome. But I was like really drinking.
Full time.
Some people don't know I was drinking, but I was drinking. Like I would wake up at like 4 a.m. with the shakes and like just drink a little bit of Fireball quick just so I could go back to sleep.
So like doing all this, like you were working, were you still training and stuff? I mean,
No, I wasn't doing shit. My main goal was for 7 o'clock to happen and the bar to open.
So you're just drinking. That was all you're doing.
Yep, nothing else. Literally drinking and gambling.
So when was the point? What was the point like where you wanted to stop? Like when did you start having the willingness to kind of just, you know?
So I tried to stop a couple times. I don't know. I would have to ask my girlfriend. I had to try and stop like 5, 6 times at least.
Did you ever go to a program at all, or like AA or any of that stuff?
I went to AA a bunch of times, but nothing like I'm in now. I like thankfully was blessed to find this program that I'm in now that is like made it a complete change. I just woke up what happened was I wrecked my car, and how I didn't kill anyone or die or get in trouble. Like I should have multiple DUIs. And then, so it's one of those things where I kind of just woke up, and once you sober up, like I had to detox myself, and it was like the worst feeling in the world, but it was like insanity because I would continue to keep on doing it every couple of months. So the last one, I just was done. I'm like, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to lose everything. And then thankfully, like 3 days after I stopped drinking, like I still felt like shit, but one of our friends posted about a recovery. It's called Celebrate Recovery at a church. Mm-hmm. And it had a lot to do with, in my mindset at that point, I was like, I'm just going to go to this so I can make everything clear with my girlfriend. Like I'm actually trying. And a lot of times, like I would just try just so I could come back to the house and she wouldn't be pissed at me, and then everything would be back to normal and kind of just fake it. And then this time I went to the church, and he was like, does anyone want to talk or say while they're here? And I didn't do it. And then like some just made me do it and be like, yeah, I want to talk. I talked and bawled my eyes out for like 20 minutes in front of people. I had no clue who they were. Dude, yeah, and it felt so good. It was unbelievable. And then ever since I did that, I go to church every Sunday. I have my devotional book I read every day. I pray every day. Now we have the kids going to church. It's just amazing. And now I see how blessed I really am with so many things.
Yeah, Celebrate Recovery is a pretty unique program. I used to organize a chair meeting. We used to have that at a church I used to belong to. And it has a different aspect. I mean, I spent 4 years in AA, so I kind of have I understand how that program works, and the politics, and just, I don't know, being around addicts. And yeah, people find their own program, and it's interesting what works for other people, because that's one thing I didn't really like about AA, because some people are kind of set on like it's their way only, sort of deal. And I always tell people like, whatever, like if you're doing your own thing, doing yoga, meditating, whatever your thing is as long as it's keeping you sober, right? So
yeah, exactly. That's why arm wrestling is kind of like everyone's like, oh, you can go to the gym and get your head off. Yeah, but it's not that easy. I had to have goals and really be involved with God for him, because there's no way I would have been able to do this without him. And I'd pray every day and thank him every day. Like I truly believe in my kids. I didn't believe in God until a bunch of shit happened that I did, like knew there was a higher power or something. But this time it really hit me. It's like I just got like reborn again, and I just see the kids in a different way, and my girl Ashley, and just the opportunities. I used to be definitely like the glasses half full kind of person, and now I wake up every day and I'm like, geez, this is just a blessing.
So do you just go to like a weekly meeting?
Yeah, it's every Tuesday. It's every other Tuesday. It's the second and third Tuesday, something like that. It's 2 Tuesdays a month. I can't remember what it is,
So you're
But
back to the gym training. You've been really hitting it hard. You're remotivated. Are you guys coming out with any new clothes? Are you going to be pushing that a little bit more now that you're like kind of focused?
yeah, that's what me and Paul were talking about. And I know he has a couple ideas. So like the call out, I just like to stay busy is my thing. And that's the thing that keeps me going. And that's why I've been having practices every Sunday. And like I brought my pre-workouts back out. And like I have a bunch of shirt ideas that I just send over to my design guy, and we're gonna get them over to like me and Paul and figure that out. It's definitely I'm way more motivated than ever just to be relevant and just back to like a normal life. Kind of do what I was supposed to do.
So what's normal life for you now? Like take us through like what your day's like so that you stay sober.
That's the biggest thing is the little things is what count. Like every morning I wake up, I read my devotional book and I read it. I have an alcoholic one, and every day I read it, I'm surprised because every chapter is like, oh my gosh, that was totally me. Every day I read it, I'm like, wow, that was me. So it's crazy how I read it and I'm like, wow. And then I pray in the shower, and then I go to the gym. And a lot of times if I wake up like and I don't even wake up off anymore. It's amazing. I used to wake up and be like, oh my God, I don't just want to stay in bed for no real reason. I just wake up with like such a clear mind now and go to the gym, then lift and go to work. And I work at the gym. Well, actually, I take my older boys are with me full time now, so I take them to school and then go to the gym. So it's not the day I stopped drinking, they came to my house and haven't went back to mom's. So we've been having a lot of fun, and it's actually that's another blessing is they didn't really want to be around me when I was drinking, and then all of a sudden now they're here 24/7, and I'm making up on time. Last year, like we went fishing twice this week, and I know last year I was just worried about drinking and where I could get my next drink, and they asked me to fish a couple times last year, and I remember being like, all right, wait till I get back from I'm gonna go get a drink quick, and then I never took them, so it's just awesome.
How old are your boys?
16.
Nice.
So they're in that age where I'm trying to mold them to not turn out like me. And what's nice is they not turn out like the old me, the drinking and doing stupid stuff and not doing, and they know I'm not like a parent that's just bullshitting, making stuff up because they've seen it. Like I was in jail for Christmas before. So they know, like, I'm not lying. Like I'm telling you a story. Like I don't want you to go down this road. I promise you.
It's really cool that you're able to show them through your example. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to tell them like, oh, don't do drugs or don't drink. They already saw how fucked up you were.
Yep.
And then now who you are, and your kids are so proud of you. And that's got to be such a great inspiration, man, to have that. Because that's a big thing where. It's not really about us in life, man, because especially we have kids, right? It's about bringing them up and kind of setting an example to them so that we're not kind of pushing our weaknesses onto them. We're kind of building them up and making them assets in life. And I like stories like yours. I like guys that are fucking like kind of fucked up and then come back and doing really good now. And what about the MMA, man? You seem to have like a real, knack to that. Didn't you do like, was it bare knuckles you were doing too?
It was Rough and Rowdy with Barstool.
Rough and Rowdy, okay.
And they just sent an email. Rough and Rowdy just Instagram or sent me a DM and said to get in contact with them about fighting on the next one.
Okay.
So that's what I'm debating if I'm doing or not. Me and Paul are kind of I was kind of basing off if I was going to do the Rough and Rowdy, if I would have got fucking smoked by Russ and lost, I probably would have did the Rough and Rowdy. Now that I won, I'm trying to like, Paul doesn't think I should do the Rough and Rowdy and focus on arm wrestling. So the Rough and Rowdy thing. So what happens with the Rough and Rowdy is super fucking lot of stress. And the 2 times that I fought, I was hammered both times and doing other shit. Like before the match, the last fight, I didn't sleep at all. And we stayed up and gambled all night, and we were drinking like for 24 hours. Like I couldn't have been. Might have been the worst person I ever was in my entire life when I fought my last one and lost. The first one I was like kind of buzzed, but I didn't drink up till that fight. I was like probably like 2 months not drinking, and then I was like, listen, I'm just gonna have a couple shots before the fight to take my nerves off. And my girlfriend was like, you know where this fucking goes, and I was like, no, it won't do it this time. It won't do it. And then it did the same fucking thing after I won. Then I went down to Bender. So this fight, I'm just debating. I know that mentally I'm there, that I'll be able to not drink. Like that's not my gonna. The stress level is what's crazy when you go into these things because there's a lot of people.
For it? Did you train for the event? Like you took
no,
it seriously?
Not to.
No.
I bought a boxing ring and everything. I have a full boxing gym in my basement.
Oh, so you prepared for the match?
No, I bought it and then didn't use it. I was worried about drinking.
Oh, so you just fucking got drunk and basically got in a fist fight.
Yeah. Yeah, literally asked James Reed. He wanted to kill me.
So what was the stress? Just the mental stress of like knowing that you're going to be fighting someone and you're not training, or just like?
No, I wasn't actually scared of that because I was looking at it as a bar fight. The stress level was every fucking person in the Harrisburg and the surrounding areas was watching this fight. Like it was like super popular around here because I was on it. So, and not only that, but my kids were in high school. So every one of their friends, the whole high school was watching it. So the first fight, I was like, fuck, if I lose, not only I'm losing for my kids and they're gonna have to hear about this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the big stress about the first one. That one went well. The second one I lost. And it was just because I wasn't prepared. I still had like COVID lung. I couldn't breathe, but fucking smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Oh, you were smoking too?
Oh my God. Yeah, for sure. So like I was so not prepared. And looking back, I wasn't actually far off from winning that fight. I could have probably, but I was so gassed that it was unbelievable. So deep down, I want to take this fight and beat the shit out of someone just so I can be like, this is the real me. This is the new me. And kind of make it a point. Mm-hmm. And then the other like part of me doesn't want me to take it and put my girlfriend through the stress of thinking that I'm going to fuck up and drink.
Yeah.
Because I know she gets super stressed about it.
How old are you?
36.
Okay. So you're still young. Yeah, maybe, not that it's, any concern of mine or whatever, but like, I think too, like sometimes when you're so young, like young in sobriety, like sober, adding that extra stress. Cause I know when I first got sober, I did an arm wrestling tournament in Vegas, and it was the first time in like fucking 5 or 6 months. I mean, I was with my wife and shit, but man, the guy on the plane that sat in front of me was drunk as fuck. I could smell whiskey off of him, which was one of my favorite drinks. And I'm like, but like, I was like fucking reading the big book the whole fucking time. I read that whole fucking big book, the whole trip, flying and shit. Like I held that like it was a fucking baby. Like, but I needed to at that time. But I noticed like a few things. I was like, man, I don't know if I should be fucking around like that. Like definitely by myself, I would have been fucked. But like,
yep.
You're not
it's
saying
weird. Like sometimes like a couple strings start coming loose and you can feel it.
Mm-hmm. See, I know that now. Like I really know who I am now. So I know my triggers and shit. So I just I don't fuck with that shit. So, I don't mess around.
I went in, I didn't even tell where, I don't even know where.
But alcohol's tough though, dude. Alcohol's tough. Especially if that's your love, like that's one of your drug of choices, because
it is.
Arm wrestling is fucking horrible for that too. Like most of them are at bars. People do the same thing. Like you got these normies that can take a shot and get by and then fucking kill it. Meanwhile, I'm getting liquor over there, in the corner. If I was to drink like that, like, it just sets it off. But so it's got to be a little bit like harder. It'd be like me going to an opiate fucking arm wrestling event. Everybody's pills and shit. I'd be like, I don't think I could do this.
So the bars thing, because me and the older boys and Ash, we eat out a lot. So we're always at a bar, and that doesn't bother me. Now, if I went into something, like I had certain honey holes. I had like 3 bars that I was at every fucking day, literally. At 7 o'clock, I was the first fucker there getting a rumpleman shot. So I haven't been in those bars, and I'm not going in those bars because that I feel like it would not be good. Like I said, I haven't smoked since I stopped drinking. And like sometimes I kind of want to take a smoke, and I'm like, it's not even fucking worth it. But me and Paul went in the casino up there, and like the one room was the smoking room, and it had the fucking smell of my old honey hole and my old watering hole. And like it for a second, it triggered my head a little bit. It smelled like a stale ass cigarette, and I could just like smell the liquor, and it like made me think about it for a second. And I was like, man, that kind of smells good for a little bit. But then I'd like mind fucked myself and said, stop being an idiot, and went over and put $100 in a slot machine and pushed the fucking thing twice and realized I was playing $50 spins.
Well, better than fucking, $1,000 in a month of fucking, headaches. That's the thing too. It's like when you can play the tape fast forward, like when you can fast forward, like leading up to that, like you said, you have a trigger, you smell the bar, whatever, and then you kind of play that tape fast forward, and you're like, oh, this is going to start a bender. I'm going to end up fucking my relationship up. My kids aren't going to fucking hate me. Whatever I built up in the last 5 months is going to go to shit. Like,
that's my biggest concern. Yeah.
That's good, though. That's good to be concerned about that. That's good because you're aware of what's going on. I think that's a really major thing, because when people don't and they feel complacent, that's when they start going, you know what? A fucking shot. Paul just beat Ron Bath. Let me have a shot. Like fucking.
Man, I've been fucking hammered at that thing. Oh man, every time Paul won, I was usually coming like second in a novice class because I'll do something stupid. Paul's winning, and me and my buddy were just celebrating because Paul was winning. It was a fucking shit show.
How was that watching? How was that being there watching your training partner? I mean, guy that you train with, it sounds like you guys are really great friends. Beating Ron, I mean, holy shit. I was fucking jumping up and down in my fucking kitchen. I couldn't fucking believe it. After the first match, I was like thinking to myself, I think Paul's going to be able to stop him.
Yeah. Well, so before that, we talked about it last night with Artem. So going into that match, for the last week or two, he's been told to do I feel like 10 different things. So like everyone's like, do this. Okay, never mind, do this. So right before the match, I think Bill Watson, his son, I think it was, came up to him and told him to do something, which totally fucking was not what he was going to do. So now Paul was thinking about that. So this was like 15 minutes before the match. So then Paul did what he said, like with a mix of everyone else's stuff. And then after that first match, I was like, all right, listen, I don't know shit about shit or arm wrestling, but I really feel like you should probably just go on the hook. And he was like, yeah, fucking no, let's do it. I was like, I think we should abort that first idea and just go right to the hook. So whatever he did, I don't know what he did. And it's not because I told him to do it. It's because he's super smart on the table. But it was funny to hear, like, I feel like that's how Paul is. Like, whenever Paul's yelling at me, I was like, my mind is like, what? I need to like push slow motion while Paul's yelling at me and then the ref's yelling at me. And I'm going to be like, all right, hold on. What should I do? And then by then it's like, ready to go. I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go.
Yeah, no, that was impressive, man. Paul really, he looked big as fuck too. Like I thought, like my going into this match, and I wasn't watching anyone training or anything. But those guys aren't posting anything. Like you guys pretty well train in silence anyway. But I was thinking that Ron was, if he was, fully recovered from his war, he was going to be too big. I thought but
he was fucking huge.
But Paul looked big though. Like he just looked a lot bigger, and he didn't look out of place. Like Ron looked a little bit like, I thought he looked a little lankier, like tall and kind of, but Paul looked like a real big tank. Like,
see, that's the thing is Paul weighs the same like all year round. The only time he really
never got any heavier for this match.
No.
So 210 still 220.
He's probably, I think he was like I would say 220, maybe a little heavier.
Yeah, that's a good weight.
But I know he weighed like 230 for the Brzezinski match, and he said he felt like shit.
Yeah.
Just like slower. His honey hole is like that 220-ish, I think, or 215.
Yep.
But he always like weighs that all the time. It's unreal. But Ron Bath is fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like
he is big. No, I know. Yeah, he's a big fucking man. Yeah.
I asked Paul how big he was, and I didn't think he was that. Like in my head, I didn't think it was that big. When he walked in, I was like, oh shit, this could be a fucking problem.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like when you see Devin or Ron or Dave, all those fucking guys in person, they're like on videos and shit doesn't do them justice. Like They're walking around with their arms rolled like this, fucking cyborgs. Fucking.
That's how Michael Todd had big ass arms.
Yes.
And then Corey West walked in. I'm like, holy
I know,
fuck.
dude. They're fucking creatures, dude. Like
Corey West's hand, and he was like, all right, let's pull left. And we were pulling left a little bit. I'm like, good God, it's like a fucking bear claw.
that guy's
It's
fucking
unreal.
crushing. I can't wait to see some of these matches with some of these young guys. So
Yeah.
like why did you pick Russ? What was that?
I didn't pick Russ.
Okay.
So that's another thing. People were like, oh, a bunch of haters. Like was haters because me and Chris Chandler are supposed to pull at the end of this year.
Okay.
And people were talking shit like, how the fuck did Justin get that? And at a practice, like some of my like people around here are like, how'd you get that match? And I'm like, me and Chris were talking one time just about bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, we should pull. And I'm like, yeah, like, let me see where I'm at, like by like in a little bit and see what's going on. This was before I even knew I was arm wrestling Tim. So this was like a while ago. And then the guy from Michigan hit both of us up. He's like, hey, do you guys want to pull? And we're like, yeah, actually, it's funny. We were just fucking talking about it. So like, not once did everyone thinks I like somehow got this magical, like I called out Chris, and that's not what happened at all. And then the Russ thing happened. The Tim Lewis thing, we both called out each other. That one I've been wanting, and I know he wanted it too because he thought I fucking sucked. So, but the Russ thing came out of nowhere. Paul was like, yo, do you want to go to Arkansas? And I was like, He's like, Michael Todd's having the shit. He's like, if you want to go, let me know. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. And then Michael Todd said something about Russ. And I looked at the rankings. I'm like, wow, that's a fucking big jump. But I mean, I have nothing to lose. So fuck it. We'll see where we're at. So that's how that guy happened too. Me and Russ didn't call each other out. It kind of just got put together.
So you were talking earlier about pressure. Did that put like from fighting and stuff? Does that put the pressure on you? Like the same sort of mindset? I know you're not getting beat up, but
it does.
Still losing.
It's so weird. And kind of like today with Noel. So I didn't know he was ranked. So I didn't even think about it. I didn't realize how good he was. Like we were in the hook and everything left-handed and he's fucking strong. And like I was, like everyone was doing like the same shit. It was just me, him, and Paul. And then I looked at rankings. I'm like, holy shit! But that's with Russ. I feel like if I like saw Russ in like he's a big ass boy too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I lost you there for the.
Fucked myself before that.
Okay.
Because he was ranked 12 or whatever.
So are you strictly just a left-hand puller?
Hold on, I lost it. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just lost. There we go.
No, I lost you. My girl just started her car and my phone's hooked up to her car.
That's awesome.
I was like, where the hell did he go? But
I didn't hear what you said like right before that either. I didn't hear. You were talking about
looking
Russ.
at his ranking,
Yes.
Russ. If I would have never looked at that, I would have been more confident. But looking at it, I'm like, holy fuck, I'm not. Now, at one point, I was ranked like 19, and that was because I beat Dustin Moore or one of the Morgan boys.
Okay.
But I wasn't training. It was just, I was just mentally strong. He had my hand the whole fucking time, but it was one of those things where I was buzzing. I was like, I ain't gonna fucking lose this shit in front of my family. So like, I would have went down with a broken arm to not lose that match.
Mm-hmm.
But then I didn't pull for 2 years, and then I got dropped. And then after this kickstart, we were like, all right, let's see what we can do here. And we were kind of looking at the top. Who I was gonna call out was Galgochi, the one guy from up here, the Jersey guy.
Okay.
Because he was like 19 and we kind of would make sense because he's a hooker. But then Michael Todd said about Russ, and I'm like, well, all right. But if I wouldn't have looked at the rankings, I feel like I was mind fucking myself. I feel like the more I win good matches like this, the more confident I'm getting.
Yes.
But I know I like mentally, I'm like, I'm not even ready for this shit. I've only been training for 5 months. So I was definitely stressing about that. I'm not gonna lie. Not like drinking level stress, but I was like, before the match, it was like one of those ones where I was like about to have an anxiety attack.
Yeah. No, I understand totally, man. It's such a mental challenge. The sport is so crazy. People don't really see that don't compete. Like I have competition anxiety. Like I'm a practice champ puller, but fucking as soon as it's like a setup and fucking there's a crowd there, I'm getting better at it, but this weekend or last weekend, I kind of shit the bed, same kind of thing. But also competing with great competitors too, but still it's like that anxiety. So like no crowd there at Michael's really, but you're on fucking pay-per-view. It's like,
that's the thing is I knew like there's a ton of people watching it from back here too. Now this isn't a fight, but it was so funny because I won that match and I went up to the one bar, we got food the other day and they're like, all right, after that fight you lost, you're back because you won that match. So they like are putting the arm wrestling in like the same category as a boxing match. So I kind of redeemed myself right in this area because everyone knew about it.
mm-hmm.
We're trying to build up arm wrestling big around. Like we got like 25 guys probably. We could get, but we always have big turnouts for practices, and we're trying to get it like more of their businesses and more mainstream in this area, just to get the more. Because I was talking to the one guy from our newspaper. It's not really a newspaper anymore. It's called Penn Live.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually he reached out to me today. I actually forgot to tell Paul that about doing like an interview with me and Paul about going out there to Arkansas and stuff like that.
Nice.
So but the anxiety thing, that's one of the biggest things. I didn't eat like that whole week leading up to that. Honestly, I was more fucking worried about flying because I haven't flown since I was like fucking 10 years old.
Yeah, I hate flying too.
So after I did that was what I was really nervous about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was nervous about me and Paul were going together. And then on Sunday, we had to be separated. Not like we're like boyfriend and girlfriend, but I was like, bro, I'm like kind of freaking out about flying by myself. And then it would have been a fucking horrible Sunday if we would have lost. I know that. Yeah. It would have been a long Sunday. I would have been on a plane for 10 hours and wanted to just fucking shoot myself probably.
Those are the challenges though, that you're going to, curve because of all your tools that you have now in your toolbox to kind of keep your head level.
Yep.
So what's next for you? Like now your comeback's kind of your 2-0, you're training, you got a great team, man. I'm jealous. You got Paul Storm and a bunch of great guys. Like you said, Dave Morocco's, it's like Kenny Smith, all those studs, man. What's next for you as far as pulling? Do you have anything on your radar that you like to pull?
Well, yesterday they were saying me and you should pull right. And I'm like, yeah, no.
Me and you?
That's what they were saying. We should pull right. Because me and Paul and Storm, I believe Storm, we were talking to Artem yesterday. They said about coming down. We want to come down at some point and have a big practice with you guys.
Yeah, man. We could.
But I'm like, I'm not fucking pulling Craig. My right arm is horrible.
I'll pull you left and right. You'll be my first left arm back.
That would be, yeah, that I was gonna say, because my right arm.
I would do that. I would do that with you because I wouldn't pull where you're strong anyway. I try to fucking avoid that whole mess. But I feel comfortable, like even like losing from like what you do, because it's not. I don't feel like I'm in danger.
No, that's exactly. I'm a very slow puller. Like there's no hitting or nothing, and that's one thing that Russ scared the shit. So we looked at videos on Russ. Well, I did. I found his last tournament and I was watching these videos and I like fucking saved them and everything. I was like studying them. And he was just falling in and just going with it and just pinning these guys, not knowing that he did that because it wasn't great competition.
I got
so
you.
He was just doing it as like not to be a dick and just and by the way, he's like the nicest fucking dude I've ever met in my life. He talked to me afterward. He's like, you did an awesome job. Like we had a good conversation afterward. But like in the prepping for it, like I didn't think he was in the hit because not one video did I ever see him hit. So the one match that he flashed me, I think there ended up being a foul. He like, I was set up and I had like no static for him because I thought we were both going to roll right into it. And he fucking flashed the shit out of me in a foot. It like sent a sharp pain from my elbow the whole way up to my shoulder. And Paul basically was like, don't be a pussy. Get the fuck back in there. Don't even think about it. But I didn't see that hit coming whatsoever. I love slow pulling.
Yeah, me
but
too.
He stopped the shit out of me. That's whenever that next match is whenever I was super free. I had laughs engaged and everything, and my static was so tough that like there was no way that I was letting him do it again. And I knew I could catch him and then bring him back.
That's exciting.
But I was gonna say that I'm not a hitter whatsoever.
Yeah, it's exciting, like because you have so much, like to learn, and you're with like a bunch of great technical guys. Like it's all gonna fall together for you. You sound a lot like me. I've been in this sport almost 10 years, and I'm like still trying to figure this fucking setup and all this shit. And then when I get with practices and I get set up with them and I feel strong and then I go to a tournament, I totally fucking shit the bed sometimes. So
yeah, that's another thing. I think we were just talking about this. I think I'm gonna be more of a super match cooler than because me and Tim actually had this conversation after our match, because the shit, like, I don't know if I would be prepared for a tournament. Because every time I've been in a tournament, I got a shitty ass draw in the first one. It was a fucking war. Yes. And then I get smoked by a bunch of nobodies. And it's like, Now, everyone that's there knows that I got smoked by it for a reason. But everyone that
in your head, though, you fucking question shit, dude. It's like,
yeah.
I know. I went backwards. I lost to a guy that I always beat, and I was like not even comfortable in the setup. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to smash this guy anyway. And then roll the shit out of me. And I'm like, the whole drive home, I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? I suck so bad.
I know. Then you're questioning, like, did I get weaker? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, because my training, it's like the numbers in the gym. I'm doing like this conjugate method. Everything's fucking great. And I'm like feeling great at practice, but it's like, fuck. But it's, it's funny. I think that's the big challenge because, you can see a lot of guys because, arm wrestling is funny because you always run into these guys that go, I've never lost an arm wrestle. And then they fucking go to a tournament and they get crashed, or they arm wrestle someone, that knows how to arm wrestle. So it's a kind of a really interesting journey of mental fortitude and pushing yourself and stuff. Yeah.
And it's funny, you can get trashed by somebody that no one knows in PA and surrounding areas really easy, because there's motherfuckers that are just that don't compete that are strong as shit. And it's crazy. Like, there's times where you're like, there's a guy at practice, you're like, what the fuck is your name again? And like, they're that strong.
So you said you're going to keep busy. Are you going to get into, like, you're talking about maybe promoting the sport? Are you guys going to get into doing any kind of events?
Well, we did I don't know if you saw the call out wars.
Yes.
Oh, with me and Tim. Yes. So that was, I've been bumping that idea around, and Paul kind of approved it. I got to always take my ideas to Paul. Paul's like the principal of this ideas. So I like told him about it. And then I think that we're going to run another one. Actually, my girlfriend just got an email from like the local Harley Davidson dealership. They want to have like a big event and have some local businesses in. So I want to do something like that at the end. I just talked to Paul about it, like at the end of April, and kind of have a call out wars. Now, I don't know who I'm going to, I just like to stay fucking busy to keep, I have to stay busy. Otherwise I get bored with shit. So I need to have something in my scope that I'm about to do. So I don't know who's going to be next, but I know I want to stay. I'll probably do something at the collar balls. And now Paul's like, now that we're where we are, you have to be careful you take that you don't get fucking smacked by someone that you're like, well, that was a dumb idea. Like, honestly, I'm probably not going to go against any top rollers anytime soon, or anyone that threatens like my hands until I work on them. Because like I said, with me going hard for like 5 months, I haven't really got my hook. I feel great, but you can take my hand if you want. And also depends on how fast I react too. But my thing is, I want to have something in April, and I just don't know who I'm going to do unless we come down. I know Paul definitely wants to come down to Florida, so that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if you guys came.
And I think Storm does too. I think it's me, Paul, Storm.
Yeah, Daniel Worley, maybe he'll be off the couch by then.
Yeah, this should be fun because the girls, we said about the Arkansas thing, and they're like, we are not fucking going to Arkansas. We're like, okay, then I guess it's just us going. They're like, whenever there's a tournament or something that's going to be fun and warm, let us know.
Daytona Beach, man. It's cheap to stay on the beach, dude. You got the whole beach right there.
Are you guys all near each other down there?
No, well, Artem lives in Orlando. I think he might be in Jacksonville. I think he's just moved again. So he's about a couple hours from me. And then Worley's in St. Augustine, and then Chance is kind of over in Deltona. And then, you got Jacksonville has a big practice and stuff.
Well, that's why we want to come down.
Unless you're a Disney fan and you want to go to Orlando and spend a shit ton of money, it's expensive. But if you want to come to a cool place as far as like the beach and kind of save yourself some money, I could throw a huge practice at my house or somewhere in between or whatever. I mean, we could figure something out, but I think that's I know, especially if you want to take your girls with you, I think they'll be more tempted to want to go to the beach and hang out and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
I know that's definitely on the radar, so we'll all have to get together and figure that out. I know that's something they want to do.
Yeah. So you're taking the sport real seriously now. Are you on any kind of diets? Do you take any supplements? Are you like focused on that, or is it just kind of fly by your seat of the pants sort of deal?
Kind of fly by here, really. Like I'm on a little bit of juice. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah.
But like that's what I just had this conversation at the gym today. I have been juicing for a fucking long time, and even with arm wrestling, never once. That's what I was about to talk to you about, and that whole thing that we talked about before.
Yes, yeah. That's why I kind of wanted to kind of segue into this conversation a little bit.
Never once, and I kind of talked to Iola, but never once did I fucking juice to be like, I want to be the best arm wrestler in the world. Like nowadays, these motherfuckers are juicing to be that motherfucker. And I'm not juicing for that reason at all. I'm juicing strictly to be huge.
Yeah.
Not ever once have I told my girl, listen, we need to meet the guy because I need to fucking win this match. Like that's never my intention. Like, so that's why. And
what about this though, Justin? What about this too? You lose to someone. Do you ever say, oh, he must have been on more gear than me?
I can, yeah, I know.
That's the that's my favorite. That's my favorite kind of like excuse. And I get it. People are, it's an advantage, but I never, no matter what, dude, like especially me now, like the last 2 years, I just take TRT because I'm old as fuck. And I, you know, my trend and growth and all that crazy D-ball and anadrol shit days are over. I got kids. I want to be healthy. You know, I take my TRT and I feel fucking amazing. But the thing is, you know, these people that fucking like, I don't know. I never looked at the tournament and go, oh, that guy's taking more shit now. That's why you beat me. And I'm taking TRT and you know, I don't have the trend advantage or the EQ or whatever the fuck it was, you know?
Yeah. I've been juicing since I started on wrestling and got waxed for fucking 5 years by a bunch of nobodies.
I know.
So
I know.
So it's definitely,
the thing is, if you're a good arm wrestler, like if you're a great arm wrestler and then you're supplementing, it's going to make you fucking stronger. And of course you're going to be fucking better. I mean, we can see examples of that now at certain guys in their 40s that, you know, they used to say they were natural and now they're kind of on the pancake diet and then boom, you know, it's like a whole different world.
There's more fuckers at 300 right now and looking huge than there ever was, I feel like. So but that's juicing for a reason. I'm strictly juicing so I look big. Like I don't have abs or nothing. I just want to be like big. It never really came down to wanting to win on arm wrestling. Like I was juicing long before arm wrestling, then it kind of just went together. Yeah.
What's your weight at?
Right. Probably 245, 250.
Okay. So
and now
what would you do like for a cycle for an event like that you just had? Would you like take any, you want to get into that or?
So I don't even switch anything. I've just been doing sustanon for like as long as I can remember. So I never really do anything. And every time I'm not allowed to do tren anymore. That's part of our relationship rules.
Yeah, it's called divorce in a bottle for a reason.
Oh, wow. Me and Mike talked about it one time and Nash was like, he ever does it again. I did run it when I got sober. I only weighed like, when I stopped drinking, I only weighed like 215 probably. And I was, to other people, I had to look skinny. But to everyone who saw me in the gym, they're like, oh my God, what happened? I'm like, okay, fuck off. I'm like, all right, it's time to call the guy. So my guy was like, all right, I got sus. And he's like, I got this special bottle. He's like, I looked at it. He's like, it's got tren, mast, and deca. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just do it. Let's do it and try to get back to where I was. So when I first got sober, I was on that, sustanon, and D-ball. And I blew up. I got to like 250, but I was like I only ran that tren bottle until it was over because then I know where it goes. It did what it had to do. And then I was like, all right, it's time to divorce you. Because I can feel my annoy, and I already have a temper and annoyed easily. Not anymore. More, ever since, this is no lie, ever since started going to church and everything, I am way more meek and mellow than I ever was in my life. But I knew that trend was slowly kicking in because I can feel it with the kids. Like they would do something and I'll be like, would you shut up?
Yeah.
And then I knew it. So now, like in my head, I'm like, fuck, I got to stop that shit because I don't want it to keep on going.
You were hanging on the trend ledge.
It was right on the ledge. It's for someone to die. So now it's funny you asked. I just, leading up to that, I was just doing my normal stuff and not even crazy, like nothing, the same shit that I've been doing for years. And NPP is what I was doing.
Okay.
One of my buddies put me on that. He's like, dude, you got to try that shit. So I tried it. Mainly, I tried that because I read about the tendons and everything. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I tried the NPP is because I knew I was getting bigger and stronger at a rapid it felt good. And I was training arm wrestling hard. So I wanted it. He was like, dude, this will help your tendons and everything a lot. So that's why I got on the NPP, is because I didn't want to tear a bicep by getting, like, going from being drunk for a fucking year to arm wrestling my face off for like every weekend. And I just didn't want anything to tear, because I've seen it happen where everyone get their biceps so strong and then their tendons. And he was like, this is fucking work. You got to use this for your tendons. So I used that for like 8 weeks. And like I said, I've been sitting, none of my weight has been the same. I'm like stuck at like 245 right now. So I'll probably like see what happens. I just got DECA, so I might do some of that and see what happens, because I never did it before.
What do you say to the people out there that say that you're not really sober because you're on juice?
I think, did you talk about that before?
Yes, because I got a comment on my
video
and I didn't really get into it because this person, I know what they're doing. I know how they like to do that shit. So I don't really engage as much into it as I need to, but because like I'm an open book anyway. Like if he was talking about me being sober, I don't say I'm sober. I don't do the drugs I used to do. I use plant medicines and I do TRT. Yeah. Like I don't care what anyone else thinks about if that's sober. And when I was in AA, that was an issue because there was guys in there with TRT, taking TRT because their test levels were low and they were like in their fucking 60s. Like, yeah, they would have like debates, like not debates, but conversations about that. And I always looked at it like this. I never was knocking at your door, jonesing for some testosterone at 2:30 in the morning. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I get it. People are going to go, oh, well, your mind changes. And yes, I will say that when you're all geared up and, you know, and I think partly like when I was doing a lot of drugs, I called myself a pleasure junkie. So with the juice, the, you know, all the other, you know, and different drugs and shit. So I get it. But when you're sober and you're clear-minded from the drug that was kind of making you numb, I think that if you're taking some steroids or whatever it is, I don't think that's affecting your sobriety.
It's funny you said it, because I saw that comment and I'm like, this motherfucker. And then I said to my girl, I'm like, look at this shit. And she was like, that's not even, it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but like for those people that have whatever question, I can just tell them to get fucked, because like my people around me and like Ashley owns 2 salons and I help out with that. And they knew for like the last 2 years, I was being a piece of shit boyfriend. I was drunk all the time and not helping with like her businesses. I was just a horrible person. And for anyone that would say that to me, I would be like, yeah, I would say you can get fucked, because everyone that I care about or that I need to be around sees a huge difference in me from now and last year.
Yes.
So, and like you said, it's not even about that. It's probably just like my dad takes anxiety medicine. It's the same thing. I don't need to take tests, but at some point I'm going to need to take tests for sure because of my overall health.
Yes.
I could start. Test isn't one of those things. It's more those, but it's more, I don't even know how to describe it. Yes. It's not like you're addicted, but I just like. No.
But people that are really against it, they say that it's against your morals. And meanwhile, these people are rude and treat others like shit, say, or who knows what they're doing behind closed doors. Cause I always like that moral issue of like, oh, you're a cheater or you don't have any morals. Meanwhile, they're fucking doing whatever, cheating on their girl, whatever the fuck. And I'm not saying this person in particular, I'm just using an example of like, that's what happens. People are always like, oh, you know, that's a moral issue, but it's like, you're not, you shouldn't give a fuck about my morals. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Worry about yourself. If you have to worry about someone else's fucking morals, you're probably doing something wrong.
That's the problem with people is they're not busy enough and they're concerned.
Yeah.
I have this conversation at work with a guy and he's always in everybody else's business. And I go, you need to have some headphones on and listen to some books or whatever the fuck, and keep your mind occupied on your job. Because if you're really engaged in life, like I don't know any successful people that hate on others or, I see it all the time. Like, like I fight the urge of making comments when people say stupid shit, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. But I think that people will always kind of be hateful towards someone saying, hey man, I got my life together, but I'm taking a cycle of juice because I want to get jacked.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. No one has that. No one said, everyone, I mean, it's pretty clear that I'm on shit, but no one like has said it, but you will. I know like there'll be the fucking Instagram dudes that I'm big. And before I would argue with them all fucking day long. Now I'm just like, that's another thing that like I stopped doing is not really arguing, but like I could definitely somebody could trigger me into argument for sure. Mm-hmm. But now I'm just like, this fucking idiot. It's not even worth my time. But I saw that comment on your thing and I'm like, this motherfucker don't even know what he's talking about. Like my substance was alcohol. That alcohol fucks my whole life up, not juice.
Yeah, no,
so I got rid of the alcohol. So I'm sober from the alcohol. That's what I needed to get rid of.
Yeah, I shot pills, snorted a bunch of fucking pills and shot fucking meth. And I was a hardcore drug addict and I drank alcohol. But today I can have a couple drinks if I want to. I just choose not to. I just don't like the way it makes me feel. But I don't crave anything anymore. I don't, I've really done a lot of self-growth over the years. And when you become like, I'm 50, dude. So like, imagine another fucking, 15, 14 years of your life, how much more knowledge and wisdom, experience you're going to have. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't even fucking get angry anymore where I used to get angry. Like
that's exactly how it is.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I just fucking had to yell at my kid today after work, but normally I'm pretty cool and calm and collected, but I don't get upset, in traffic anymore. I kind of learn how to deal with that.
Funny you said that. It's so funny you said that because that's one of the things, like my girl has always been like, yo, settle down. Like you don't need to get pissed or like your day's going to get better, blah, blah. So now I find myself being that person where she's like, I'm going to fucking kill this client. And I'm like, listen, you have, and I'm like, so like the kids could spill SpaghettiOs. And I'm like, you know what? It's fucking fine. And Ashley's like, are you smoking weed? Why are you so fine with everything? I'm like, and she knows like mentally, I'm like free. I'm like,
yes.
Listen, boy, there's no like before I'd probably freak the fuck out. Like if they spilled SpaghettiOs on the carpet, I'd like meltdown mode. And my day would be fucking gone. Like my day would be ruined. And it happened right when it was right around Christmas time. It was right after going to church and starting. Like I'm really weird about the gym and my fucking headphones. And I fucking went to the gym, forgot my headphones. And I was like, motherfucker. And every other day I would have been like, this fucking day is ruined. And I would have went home, been fucking pissed. And I was like, fuck it now. I'll just listen to everyone else stupid ass fucking. Then I had a good day because I listened to everyone else talking about stupid ass shit. It was actually more amusing than my headphones. But that happened the other day. I was taking my little guys, my 6-year-old, they just turned 7 to school. And this fucking guy was like in my lane and I just honked. And like pull up to the light. And I hear yelling, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I look over, and he's waving his hands and shit, and he does like a U-turn and stops on the other side of the road. And I put my window down, and I was like, what? And he's like, motherfucker, you're lucky. And I'm like, my blood pressure went to the fucking moon. And I was like, what? He's like, pull the fuck over here. And I'm like, all right. And I turned around and looked at my 7-year-old and saw like, not fear, but he was like, Dad, what's going on? And I'm like, you know what, this motherfucker, it's your lucky day. And I fucking kept on driving and dropped him off to first grade because I knew if I would have before, I probably would have pulled over there and be like, Graham, sit there and don't say a word. Like my mindset is just different. Even like at the bar, there's some drunk ass people like that annoy me. And I'm like, all right, Ash, listen, it's just time to go. Before I would not start a fight, but I'd say something, which usually started into a fucking argument. I just don't even get into it. It's not even worth my fucking time anymore to argue with people.
It's such good strength. Like it's real true strength to be able to handle that in that situation because You know, like when someone yells at you like that or says, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I look at it now too. I'm like, why am I trying to get validation from some fucking stranger that's
Yeah.
being rude to me? So I'm going to kick his ass and like, what the fuck?
And then I'm the one that's going to go to fucking jail.
Yeah. Then I'm going to go to jail because I'm going to take it to that level where it's not going to be just an ass kick and you're going to be
fucking. And then in the newspaper, I'm the one that looks like an asshole because I beat up a 6-year-old guy for some reason.
Yeah. It's all your fault. And
we knew it was
his son with him. Oh my God, what a horrible dad. Like, yeah. So that scenario, you can play that in your head and then all of a sudden, but yeah. And I always find too, man, like when you have patience like that, when you see someone doing that, they're always having a shit day anyway. Like they're not happy. Like no one's happy going, fuck you, Justin, you know, in traffic. Yeah. Like no one's happy doing that. Like,
well, I saw him whenever he was in my lane and I didn't even give him an asshole honk because I don't pay attention when I'm driving too sometimes. So I gave him like a little friendly honk and I drove by and I could tell he was looking at his map and lost. So I was like not being an asshole. And then he pulled up and fuck you, motherfucker. And I'm like, oh man.
And that's why
are so lucky.
He's lost and he's fucking confused and he's fucking, and then you honk at him and now he's thinking that guy thinks I'm stupid, so he's gonna fucking react because he's so caught.
I know one thing. It was definitely the grace of God because I know I was like this, and Ashley's like, my girl knows now let me tell you something. If the kids weren't in the car, there might have been a chance that I did a U-turn. But thankfully that they were in the car, and now if that situation ever happens again, I'd probably think, all right, have a good day, cocksucker.
Yes, that's the best thing to do, dude. Because you're the one, because it's crazy how people are so tough in a car. And I get it because you're in such a heightened awareness because you're driving, it's fucking crazy. And people just, they react like they are like tough guys. That would be my biggest thing would be getting into arguments in traffic with people and getting into fights in the middle of the streets over like fucking stupid shit. Like, so dumb, but
it was dumb. Looking back, I'm like, this motherfucker's super lucky.
But do you think that motivates you now, the way you're acting now, how you have control over your mindset a lot more and you feel more aware of what's going on? Your training's going good. You have your family. I mean, God, you must be just so motivated right now.
Oh, it's so motivating. And more motivating is this to watch the big kids see me at my worst and see how you can overcome shit that they've seen me fucked up like bad. And not then they saw me where their mom wouldn't let me see them for good reasons. And my parent, like people would keep the kids away from me because they didn't know what I was going to do. But for them to see me, I know like month 1, month 2, they were probably like, oh, they were living with me, but they were probably like, oh, dad's in a fucking, everyone said it. Everyone that knows me is like, oh, it's a fucking, just wait. He'll fucking do it again. So I know the kids deep down are now believing me more that I am changed. And it's so nice to do it for them, for myself, but do it for them so they can see no matter if you're an asshole, like you can still come out of it and prevail and do something good with your life. I love doing it for them. And it's so funny because my little 7-year-old, my devotional book doesn't leave the counter, and if it does, it a fucking freak. So like I'm super OCD about shit, and that thing don't leave. And I have all my coins in there that I've been collecting over the last couple of months. Mm-hmm. And my son sits there in the morning at breakfast, and he's like, "Dad, will you read that to me?" Like they're starting to ask about God, and the little guys, they love going to church now. It's just my girlfriend cries all the time. She's like, it's just mind-boggling to see where our family has come from a year ago. Like a year ago, I was wondering if you were even coming home or what I should do with the babies or feed them. And now it's just crazy. Wow. But that's the biggest thing is doing it for them and showing them that you can do that. And what's really nice is I didn't make him go to church right away because I don't want it to be like, oh, well, dad's fucking doing it, so we got to do it. This is bullshit. So I'd let him, and I would just like throw it out there every once in a while. But you guys want to go to church? Nah. And then like 2 weeks ago, I was like, y'all want to go to church tomorrow? And they were like, yeah. They went to church, and it wasn't the greatest service. So that is kind of, but they loved it. They didn't bitch about it. They didn't complain. And right when I got there, the guy that runs my Celebrate Recovery thing was holding the door, and he was talking to the boys. He's like, you guys should be so proud of your dad and what he's overcome. and how he's doing. And now people talk to him. Like, I know my inbox usually has something in it every day of somebody that has a drinking problem. Because, and including a lot of people around here that knew and saw me at the bar and saw how fucked up I was. They're like, how the fuck now? Like, I was the worst drinker in the world. So now they're like, if he can fucking do it, they're like, how do you do it? And I'm like, you gotta fucking want to do it.
Yes.
Like, you have to really want to do it. There's a lot of people that hit me up about doing it. I'm like, you ain't fucking ready.
Nah.
I don't say it to him because I want to be, but I'll tell Ashley, like, this motherfucker's not ready. I can already tell. And then like 2 days later, he's at a fucking bar doing shots. I'm like, see, I told you.
Yeah, I can tell. I get that too. Like, a lot of people will message me or they'll, ask me what I did or whatever. And then but I could tell during that, they're like, well, I kind of want to have a couple drinks on the weekend. Like, they're already kind of compromising stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, let me just leave that one number in my phone. Like, let me just
yeah, exactly.
Just people. You really, I tell people all the time, like, my wife's a therapist and I tell her, because she deals with a lot of addicts. And I say, the reason why these people aren't getting sober is you can't interrupt their using. You can't just put them in a Baker Act or a Marchand Act and force them to do detox or whatever, because they have to want to do it on their own. It's called having willingness. And that's the number one reason why people get sober. So
I know, like, we have people that come in for a class and you can kind of catch a vibe. Like, I haven't seen anyone, like, there's been a bunch of new people, and I'm like the only person that I've seen since October that cried my eyes out. And that's how much it was literally the most, it felt so fucking good to bawl my eyes out and just let everything go.
Yeah, man.
It was awesome. But that is the thing. I get a lot of DMs and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, all right, this guy's ready. And then the other times they're like, well, I mean, I don't think I have a problem. And I'm like, well, okay, well, here's the start. If you're messaging me, you think you have a problem. So let's not lie to yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
but I did the same shit for fucking 4 years. So that's why I never like to tell anyone, like, you're not ready. I'm just like, yo, if you have any questions or need any help or want to, just let me know.
Yeah, people, it's funny, they listen to themselves. And I have this thing where, I mean, I've lied to myself more than anyone else has lied to me in my whole entire life. So why would I believe myself? With certain things now, I know that, like, I'm kind of in line with how I should be living. So, I don't have as many, I'm not lying to myself. Yeah. Now I know when I am lying and I'm like, you're fucking lying to yourself, dude. That's not.
Yeah, exactly. You're full of shit.
Yeah. Right? You're not going to go to the beach and hang out and fucking, have no drink, whatever, put yourself in situations where it could cause a problem, especially early in sobriety when you're first getting started, because when you're on a kind of a slope like you are, like, you're just everything's fucking great, and then you're going to hit some moment where it's going to be like losing a match or whatever the fuck it is, and then that's when the real work's going to begin. So
something happened. I forget, something happened not long ago where it's one of those where I can either, it was one of those times where before I probably would have been like, should I just go to the bars this morning? I can't remember what it was. So that's how I just told myself it's nothing. But like that moment, it was something, I can't remember what it was. But I was frying the fuck out about it. And it was one of those days where I was like, this isn't even fucking worth it anymore. I was in one of those moods. And I fucking got in the car and put on one of my songs I listened to and just like went, whew, okay, never mind. We're fucking back. Every time I even get in one of those moods, I just put on some good music and I just like let it just go right out the fucking sunroof. I'm like, all right, I was just kidding to myself. I didn't want to actually do that.
It's good, man. Whatever techniques or tools you use, man, it's what you have to use, whatever works for you. I'm the same way. Like, I like getting up early in the morning and working out and sitting with myself and reading some meditation or some quotes and kind of, using my social media as a kind of a positive outlook. I kind of like a scrapbook for me. Like, sometimes I'm like saying men shouldn't have tits. I'm talking to myself. Like, I don't want to be fat, like, because I can eat like a fat guy. So it's like, just kind of share my thoughts out there too. But yeah, I think, I think a lot of times it's really amazing that you can take what you've learned in the short period of time and help others, because I feel like they can relate to you a lot easier because you're like 5 months sober. So they see that when you look at someone that has 25 years, that seems like impossible.
Yeah, you're like, I'm never gonna
First,
get that.
yeah, when you're first getting sober. So, because I remember taking meetings to detox with a group of people, and I had 3 months of sobriety, and I was like 90 days. I was like, fuck, what are they going to hear from me? And they were like, they're going to hear the fresh grass, like it's going to be green for them because they don't have any hours really. I mean, they might have hours,
exactly.
But that's, so. But before I let you go, what would you tell someone that's struggling with alcohol? What would you tell them? What would be your advice for them to get themselves some help?
Well, I kind of posted some on Instagram yesterday about, I don't know how to look at it while I'm on the phone, but just about like guys can like break down and they can like talk to people. Like you don't have to be like this tough, like dude, like we look like we wouldn't shed a tear. So if I tell people, I'm like, yo, I cry all the time, for real. I cried in fucking
movies. Fuck,
I cry at church every Sunday.
Yes.
And it's just like not bawling, it's just like tears of joy. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so blessed. I love going to church. And like it's just like, oh man, this is so relaxing. But I cried last night at a fucking undercover boss. I'm like, man, I'm a fucking baby now. Like, ever since I gave myself to Christ, I'm a fucking pussy. So
it's funny. It's funny because you're like, I don't cry like when I'm sad. Like it's more of a mad sort of thing. I'm like, but like fucking watching a movie, like I was watching Transformers and one of the fucking robots died and it was sad. And I'm thinking, I got to get the fuck up and go to the bathroom because
I'm like, man, my allergies are bad.
Yeah, man. Fucking, but the music and all that shit, it's just like an emotional thing, dude. I don't know. It's just,
I cry every time.
I don't care anymore. I'm at the age now where I really don't give a fuck, dude. Like I told someone at work today, we were talking and they go, you cry? And I'm like, yeah, dude, at the stupidest shit. Like fucking stupid. So
I cry all the time. Usually if I'm reading something, my little guys will be like, Dad, are you going to cry? I'm like, shut up. If we watch movies like, Dad, are you going to cry?
Sometimes just thinking of your kids, dude, like how like you are right now, like how you have all this shit to look forward to. And like you see your kids and how you feel and stuff about like, situations now. And it's like you like going to the soccer games or whatever they're doing. You're so much more aware of what's going on now because you're fucking so clear-headed. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. It's just, it is unreal clear-headed, like just including with the kids. And like they deserve to grow up like I did. So it's so like nice to, like we were just out throwing baseball. I know before I'd be like, it's a little cold out. Let's go inside.
Yes.
It's just now I just live for them and making Ashley happy and the kids happy and my parents making them like my dad proud of me instead of being like, oh, who fucking knows what Justin's doing? He could get the bar now.
Dude, that's the truth, man.
But that's the biggest thing. Like back to the question is just don't be like scared to ask like somebody for help or maybe be like, hey, do you think I'm fucked up? Like I got to drink from 7 until 9. Is that a problem? Like just ask somebody, like ask one of your friends, like that give you a fucking honest answer and be like, yeah, you're a dickhead. Like Paul be the first one to say you're an ass, like you're not a good drinker. Like I have a bunch of friends that will tell me like you cannot drink. And a lot of times I'm like, for 4 years, I'm like, go fuck yourself. I'm a great drinker. I'm fucking blessed. And then the biggest thing is just admitting you're wrong. And I truly think that just go to church and like, whether you believe it or not, a lot of these newer churches are just like, a lot of people have a misconception on churches, including my older boys. They thought we were going to like a church, like the old school days. Like you were going to sit in a wooden ass pew and sit there with a Bible. And they were like, oh my God, that was kind of cool. So sometimes church is just a mind reliever.
Yeah, community.
And just talking to somebody, I think, is like a big thing. Or if it's like me, if anyone has, that's why if you see somebody on social media, like, hey, I don't know if I have a problem and I don't know if I'm ready to admit it yet, but what's your like opinion? People ask me that all the time. I'm like, you got to just want it.
That's so true, man. That's great advice, brother. I really appreciate you coming on and doing the show, man. And I'm a huge fan. I'm really proud of you. I love that you share this shit on social media. I love following you, and I wish you the very best, man. And I can't wait for you guys, hopefully, to come down to Florida in the next few months and get together and talk and, just go over some stuff. And, it makes me, I get goosebumps, man, because I know how proud your family is and what you're going through right now. And it's just such a blessing to see someone that was living a fucked up life come out of the gutter and change it, man. I love those stories. So I just want you to know, thanks a lot for sharing all that.
Thank you so much.